There's a lot of talk about Google and Facebook and Amazon and the like, that these are sort of unstoppable monopolies. Unstoppable monopolies. And I've said many times before, I really don't want the government to regulate them. I really don't. Because I believe that capitalism will solve the issue. Capitalism will solve the issue. There's always the next thing. There's always the next technology. There's always the next internet. You know, when the Bell Telephone Company existed, nobody thought that anything would be bigger than Bell Telephone. Well, there is. It's the iPhone. When the railroad was built from one part of the country to the other, nobody thought anything would replace the railroad. Well, many things have. And you can go down the list. The government and the media, and even some so-called conservatives in the media, sell short the American people and sell short the capitalist system. They sound more and more like socialist populists. Government control, government this, government that. When government controls knowledge. When government controls thinking. It's like we've talked about. Climate change. Well, I don't believe in climate change. You're a denier. That's it. No discussion. That's what happens when government controls something. Net neutrality is not about net neutrality. It is about government control. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, there are things that are being conjured up now, things that are being seriously considered by very smart people, that one day could, in my view, will jump frog the existing internet infrastructure and these huge corporations that have sprung from them. And I'm not against these corporations. I'm just saying that it's really quite interesting if you look at what well, I don't want to say too much, but I guess the point is this. I'll save it for later. I don't know of any monopoly that's remained a monopoly for long, even without the antitrust laws. ExxonMobil is no longer the largest corporation in America. Is it? And yet it was not that long ago. It was not that long ago. We can go down the whole list. There's a brilliant man out there. A man who I've respected since I was a young man. And he wrote a book that I read way back when called Wealth and Poverty. His name is George Gilder. And he's written a magnificent book called Life After Google. But anyway, you shouldn't fret about this. You shouldn't get so worked up that you can't sleep at night. This is why I am an unabashed capitalist. Because capitalism works. Because capitalism embraces knowledge. Because capitalism moves money where money should go. I wrote a whole book on rediscovering Americanism and the tyranny of progressivism. Progressivism is a tyranny. The extent to which it is followed and established determines the extent of the tyranny. But progressivism is a knowledge killer. It's an idea killer. It is a production killer. It is a creativity killer because you have these masterminds. I think I've written this in 2 or 3 books now. You have these masterminds who oppose their will on you and me because they claim to have an expertise. And yet, what is their expertise exactly? You look at our massive bureaucracy, and I'm not putting people down, I'm just saying look at our massive bureaucracy. The progressive model, at least 100 and some years ago, was we're going to create this administrative state, all kinds of experts. We're going to be able to collect all the knowledge that is out there to be collected and to make these really smart decisions for the community, the nation. Well, what makes bureaucrats smarter than people in the private sector? Nothing. And how do people in office buildings in Washington, D.C., or the environs, have more information than people collectively all over the country? They don't. They don't. And why are their decisions more noble than decisions by individuals or group of individuals who know more about themselves and know more about their local community and know more about the products they want to create than anybody could possibly know in one of these buildings in Washington, D.C.? Well, those decisions aren't noble. So we should embrace capitalism and private property rights. They go hand in hand with individual liberty. And liberty, period. This is very, very important. Very, very important. You don't have to fear these monopolies. They're not going to be monopolies in 10 years. They're not. Look at the newspaper business. There was a time when everyone feared the New York Times. I don't fear the New York Times. I don't care what they write about me. Do you care? Do you fear the New York Times? Probably don't even read it. I don't even read it. How about the Washington Post? Do you fear it? I don't fear it. You know who the modern pamphleteers are? You remember the colonial times pamphleteers? It's the blogger. And we have more bloggers than you could possibly know. It's the blogger. They're the modern-day pamphleteers. They don't deserve more praise than anybody else. They're not better than anybody else, but there they are. Some of them are brilliant. Some of them are as nutty as a fruitcake. Okay, fine. Who cares? But you don't have to fear these monopolies, because if you believe in economic progress as opposed to political progressivism, if you believe and embrace capitalism, monopolies come and monopolies go. I can't think of a single monopoly that existed 100 years ago that exists today. Can you? Can you, Mr. Producer? Steel needs to be subsidized. That's what we're told. That's what we're told. So, these monopolies, such as they are, Google, people who do research, 90% of the people who do research online use Google. Amazon, obviously, right now is the biggest corporation on the planet. Bezos is the wealthiest man on the planet. But he won't always be. He won't always be. And he knows it. That's why he's trying to take Amazon in multiple different directions. And one of the reasons they won't be is not only because of advances in technology through capitalism, but also because of government. And you see it now. Holding hearings on these different monopolies. Conservatives demanding that these monopolies be controlled. And they may succeed. But there are other people out there working on alternatives, working on something else. That's what's so great about a dynamic economic system. It creates jobs, it creates opportunities, it creates wealth, it improves our standard of living. It does all those things. It does all those things. More on this in about a week or 10 days. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.